Hi, everyone, and welcome back to EdgeBytes from the Enterprise Edge, where you will get signal over noise in the enterprise AI era. So, across a series of key announcements last week, Salesforce made its position pretty plain. In an agent-driven enterprise, the center of gravity shifts away from the screen and towards the system that holds context, governs action, and turns intent into work. That is the common thread across the recent flurry of updates. I'm Mark Vigoroso, founder and CEO of the Enterprise Edge, and today we'll quickly break down the significance of these events and also what customers, partners, and even competitors should take away. So first, the Headless 360 announcement exposes Salesforce as APIs, Model Context Protocol or MCP tools, and command line interface CLI commands so agents can operate without a browser. Agent Fabric adds the control plane for a multi-vendor agent estate. The Forward Deployed Engineering or FDE partner network addresses the delivery bottleneck between pilot and production. And AgentExchange tries to make the ecosystem itself more liquid by collapsing apps, agents, tools, and MCP servers into one marketplace. This is not four unrelated product updates. This is one operating thesis. The winning enterprise platform in the next phase of AI will not be the one with the flashiest demo, but the one that can compound context, workflow, governance, and distribution into measurable work at production scale. The most important line in the Headless 360 announcement is Salesforce co-founder Parker Harris asking, why should you ever log into Salesforce again? That is a bigger statement than it sounds. Salesforce is effectively saying the UI is no longer the product boundary. If agents are the new users, then the platform has to be callable, composable, and observable from wherever work happens. Salesforce says it now provides more than 60 new MCP tools, 30 plus pre-configured coding skills, plus an experience layer that renders native interactions across Slack and other clients. The company is trying to turn CRM from a destination into infrastructure. That matters because once software becomes callable by agents, the economic premium shifts from seat-based access to time to action, workflow inheritance, and policy-safe execution. Salesforce's strongest argument is not that its models are better. It is that its business substrate is thicker. The company's own language is worth paying attention to here. Agents need the data, the workflows, the trust layer, and the engagement surface. And Salesforce argues it already has all four integrated across Data 360, Customer 360, Agentforce, and Slack. That is the differentiated claim. Now, Microsoft has enormous distribution and strong model layer leverage with Dynamics 365 revenue up 19% in Microsoft's FY26 Q2, but its workflow fabric is still more federated across M365, Azure, Power Platform, GitHub, and Dynamics. ServiceNow is building a credible control tower position with Q4 2025 subscription revenue up 21%, CRPO up 25%, and Now Assist net new ACV more than doubling year over year. But it remains strongest where workflow rigor starts inside the enterprise operating core rather than customer-facing revenue workflows. For its part, Oracle is growing cloud fast with Q3 FY26 cloud revenue up 44% and cloud applications revenue up 13%, but its agent narrative is still more infrastructure and ERP centric than front office native. Salesforce's advantage is that it begins with the commercial graph of the enterprise: customers, cases, renewals, service histories, permissions, and engagement moments. Elia Wallen, the founder and CEO of Engine, a travel platform for booking and managing work trips, he says, with Agentforce, we've been able to deploy sophisticated production-ready AI agents in just 12 days, driving millions in savings while significantly increasing our technical velocity. Whether every customer can reproduce that pace is really beside the point. The signal here is that Salesforce is selling speed with control, not experimentation for its own sake. The same theme runs through the Agent Fabric announcement, where John Pettifor at Salesforce partner Diabsolute says, Agent Fabric is how we scale AI without losing control. Those two lines together capture buyer tension in 2026. Boards want faster payoff, but CIOs and CFOs no longer want novelty without auditability, routing logic, cost discipline, and recoverable failure modes. Salesforce is responding by narrowing the distance between prototype and governed production. The forward deployed engineering move, FDE, may be the most commercially important of the announcements. Software companies keep learning the same lesson. Enterprise AI does not fail first because the model is weak. It fails because the handoff from demo to process redesign to data mapping to change management is sloppy. Salesforce cites IDC Futurescape saying more than 1/3 of organizations will remain stuck in experimental point solutions unless they shift to enterprise use cases that deliver ROI. Its answer is to operationalize scarce engineering and domain expertise through a curated partner motion. Salesforce says Agentforce is already its fastest growing product ever, that FDE partners have driven 1/3 of successful Agentforce implementations, and that these partners are being tied more directly to production outcomes. Salesforce president and CRO Miguel Milano frames the point well. He says, our partner ecosystem is a massive competitive advantage, and the Salesforce FDE partner network operationalizes that advantage for the agentic era. Lori Steele, who's the president of Global Professional Services at Salesforce, makes it even plainer when she says, getting AI into production is an engineering discipline. That is the right reading of the market. The next battleground is not model access, it is execution density. AgentExchange adds the missing commercial layer. Salesforce says the unified marketplace now brings together 10,000 Salesforce apps, 2,600 plus Slack apps, and 1,000 plus Agentforce agents, tools, and MCP servers with AI-guided discovery and one-click activation. It also cites partner-side proof points, noting cutting average sales cycle length from 4 months to 3 weeks, DocuSign processing more than 200 private offers in Q4 2025 with 60% faster time to signature, and Meshmesh landing its first Fortune 500 customer 6 weeks after listing. That matters because enterprise agent adoption is heading toward a distribution problem as much as a technology problem. Gartner predicted in August 2025 that up to 40% of enterprise applications would include task-specific agents by 2026, up from less than 5% in 2025. At that volume, discovery, trust, packaging, governance, and monetization become part of the product. AgentExchange is Salesforce's attempt to make partner inventory agent legible and enterprise buyable. The financial backdrop says Salesforce has real momentum, but it's not an uncontested one. In FY26, Salesforce delivered $41.5 billion in revenue, up 10% year over year, with current remaining performance obligation, or RPO, or backlog, at $35.1 billion, up 16%, and total RPO at $72.4 billion, up 14%. Mark Benioff said Agentforce ARR reached $800 million, up 169% year over year, while Agentforce and Data 360 ARR together exceeded $2.9 billion, up more than 200%. He also said Salesforce has delivered 2.4 billion agentic work units and processed nearly 20 trillion tokens. Those are meaningful traction signals, especially when paired with Salesforce's 20.7% share of the global CRM market back in 2024. But Wall Street is also signaling impatience. Reuters reported in February that Salesforce's FY27 revenue guide came in below Wall Street expectations as the company continued investing heavily in AI. So the market verdict is not prove the vision, it is prove the conversion. Show that AI attached becomes durable expansion, faster deployments, better retention economics, and eventually re-accelerating organic growth. So my prognosis is that Salesforce has a strong chance to win this phase of the market, but for a narrower, maybe more specific reason than many headlines might suggest. Salesforce is not best positioned because It has the loudest AI branding. It is best positioned because it is trying to reduce enterprise friction across the full path from context to action, discover the right asset, connect it to trusted data, orchestrate the handoffs, route to the right model, enforce policy, render work in the channel people already use, and measure whether value actually showed up. In a market where IDC says enterprises are expected to spend $632 billion by 2028, and Gartner says AI spending will reach $2.52 trillion in 2026, the platforms that win will be the ones that reduce the mass of deployment and the drag of governance while increasing decision velocity, to use some value physics terms. That is what Salesforce is building toward. The risk is execution breadth. Every added layer, marketplace, partner network, orchestration, experience rendering, LLM governance, improves the thesis, but also increases coordination burden. If Salesforce can keep these pieces feeling like one system rather than a federation of announcements, it has a credible path to separate from point solution competitors and from larger suites that still feel stitched together. So the conclusion versus competitors is this: Salesforce remains the category reference point in CRM and has moved faster than many expected them to in turning that installed base into an agent-ready operating layer. Microsoft remains formidable because of distribution, productivity, surface dominance, and model adjacency. ServiceNow remains formidable because of workflow rigor, operating discipline, and strong AI monetization. Oracle remains formidable where data gravity and ERP-centered process depth are the buying center. But Salesforce currently has one of the clearest end-to-end claims in the front office agent market: a large CRM base, a credible data story, native workflow inheritance, a meaningful engagement surface in Slack, and now a more explicit production muscle through FDE and Agent Fabric. The next 12 months will determine whether that claim becomes category acceleration or just category insulation. Right now, I would bet on acceleration. Okay, so we've covered the what, the so what. What's the now what? For CEOs, do not buy agent software as a feature checklist. Buy it as a throughput system. Start where customer context, workflow depth, and measurable economic impact already exist together. Service resolution, renewal risk, quoting, field escalation, onboarding, and revenue adjacent support. If you cannot point to a process where response time, conversion rate, case deflection, or cycle time will move, you are still funding curiosity rather than outcomes. Salesforce's strongest use cases will be the ones where the company's embedded relationship data and workflow history compress time to value immediately. For CFOs, focus less on model cost in isolation and more on the economics of governed work. Agent Fabric's emphasis on model routing, token governance, and selective registration matters because AI margin leaks usually come from poor orchestration, duplicated tooling, and weak controls, not just expensive inference. Demand a scorecard that ties agent deployment to avoided labor hours, reduced case handling time, improved conversion, lower churn risk, or faster signature and approval cycles. Salesforce is giving you language for this with agentic work units, but you should translate that into business native unit economics before you scale budget. For CIOs, the key question is not whether your platform can host an agent. Nearly every major vendor can now say yes. The real question is whether your architecture can expose trusted context, inherit policy, orchestrate multi-agent work, and remain observable under production load. That is why Headless 360, Agent Fabric, and the FDE model fit together. Prioritize agent programs that sit on clean process logic, governed data access, human approval checkpoints for high-risk actions, and post-launch observability. In 2026, the differentiator is no longer raw model intelligence. It is whether your enterprise can turn intelligence into work without adding a new layer of chaos. That's all for now, folks. Thank you for being with us. It's a lot to absorb. Would love to hear your reactions, your experiences, other thoughts. Please leave a like, share this video, or drop a comment below. And we will see you on the next episode of EdgeBytes, where we give you signal over noise. Take care, everybody.